this resolution was placed by the Tripura Chief Minister and our Politburo member, Comrade Manik Sarkar, and it was supported by the Kerala Secretary and leader of the opposition and member of the Assembly in Kerala, Comrade Balakrishnan Kodiyani. So the significance of this resolution and the fact that two senior leaders of the Politburo representing Tripura and Kerala have supported this resolution shows that for us, a very important sentence in this resolution is that West Bengal is the bastion of the left movement, and it is precisely for this reason that it is the target of attack of the reactionary ruling classes, and therefore the attack on West Bengal is not to be seen as an attack just on West Bengal, but an attack on West Bengal is equally an attack on the communist movement, the base of the communist movement, the spine of the communist movement. And that was a very important resolution which was adopted by the Party Congress today. Two other resolutions. One was on the issues were very specific on the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, on the tribal subplan, as well as the scheduled caste special component plan. Now, as you know, both constitutionally and as far as guidelines are concerned, the central government and state governments also, specifically the central government, is charged to allocate resources for the development of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in accordance with their proportion in the population. So, going by the 2011 census, it's around 25%. This time, the Modi-led government, its allocations for the SC-SCP as well as the TSP has been only around 10%. And the resolution, if you would go through it, will tell you that in terms of money, it is just a huge shortfall. So here you are continuing with a shortfall in allocations for TSP and SCSP, but you are giving the concessions to the big corporates. So in this resolution, the CPIM, the 21st Party Congress, has demanded, and this is what we will fight for, we want a legal mechanism. Now it is just left to the center and the state governments, unki marzi hai, wo denge to denge, nahi denge to nahi denge. So it's not mandatory. So we want it to become mandatory. We want it backed by law. We want a legal mechanism in which the continuing discrimination and shortfall in allocation to the SCs and STs should be prevented by this legal mechanism. And in that resolution, there is another very important point. In the neoliberal framework, with the ban on recruitment, with outsourcing, with contractualization, etc., in central government and public sector undertakings, in fact, the constitutional requirement of reservations has been subverted. Because the number of jobs have come down drastically. So we go on talking about reservation, but in fact, a large area of employment today is outside the pale of reservation because of hiring patterns of labor in the current neoliberal framework. So we have demanded in that resolution that there should be extension of the constitutional requirement of reservation to the private sector, to all sectors of employment there should be. So these are the two important issues in that one resolution, which the party intends in the coming days to intensify their struggle on. You may know that in Andhra Pradesh, our party here under the leadership of Comrade Raghavelu, who had gone on hunger strike for this, we had a very successful struggle here, and on the basis of that struggle and the demands which then were supported by other opposition parties, this law, although there are many flaws in that law, it was actually passed in the United Andhra Pradesh. So we want to take this struggle to other parts of the country and to the center. And the last resolution so far, which is adopted today, I think there are going to be some more resolutions adopted, but that concerns minority development schemes. And in this also, we have strongly condemned in this resolution, on the one hand, the attacks on minorities, absolutely outrageous statements, which are leading to even more insecurity, demanding that an end to the voting rights of Muslim communities. In Gujarat, what happened? Muslims, along with other communities who were displaced because of beautification of a city, in the rehabilitation, they were not allowed and not given houses. So these sort of things on development issues also, which are impacting on minorities, we have got a set of demands here on which we are already working, and now the Party Congress has decided that we are going to intensify our work on the issues of minority development. The recommendations of Sacha, the recommendations of Ranganath Mishra, now there has been a re-evaluation by the Kundru committee. They have also made some recommendations. So all these issues we intend to take up as part of our future activity after this party congress.
Madam, this 21st Congress resolutions very keen to the pro to the minorities,
SC, ST and Muslims. What about the Hindus? No, 21st Congress resolution, today resolution, so to only pro to the Muslims and only Christians. What about Hindus? The majority community, you are not taken any resolution.
I'm not sure whether you consider scheduled castes and scheduled tribes not part of, that may be your interpretation of it. I'm sorry, I can't accept that. Are you saying that scheduled? Yes, you're right. The Hindutva Brigade don't consider scheduled castes and scheduled tribes part of Hindus. That is completely correct. They don't allow them into their temples. If you're reflecting that, I can't answer it. But certainly, yesterday we passed two very important resolutions on land reform. I think the farmers of India who are being displaced, whether they go to mandirs or masjids, you would know. But certainly I think the displacement of farmers is a universal issue which affects all communities. The issue of labor reform, which we have adopted yesterday, I think the issue of labor reforms very much affects all communities. So I think it's a bit misplaced, your question.
Can you explain the electoral defeat suffered by the left front from 2004 onwards? No, you had in 2004, you had over 60 seats, and now that has come down to 10 in 2014. And how do you explain these reverses? Was it not because of the political and economic policies that was in support of the Congress-led UPA government that led to these reverses?
Well, as you know, both after the 2004 elections, we have had a party congress, two party congresses in between, and we have actually reviewed the election results in some detail. Even if you look at this political line, we are not saying that the fundamental direction as far as the UPA government and our position as far as UPA government is concerned was wrong. A criticism which we have ourselves made in our document is that as far as the nuclear deal is concerned, there are two aspects to it. One, the party now believes that we should have withdrawn support earlier. So, it's the opposite of what many of my friends in the media have been saying, is that this is not a review today. This was actually a review done at the time of our last party congress. So we are not actually, I would just like to explain to you, maybe a bit puzzling for those who see politics only in terms of electoral politics, of course, which is a very, very important part of politics. But what we are really looking at is how the left can mobilize social forces, not just political parties, but social forces, who have a stake in changing the present setup. in the context of neoliberal policies and communalism. And in our effort to reach out to these social forces, we view our political tactic and mistakes or the direction of it. It is in that context. So I think you will find that the basic thrust of our review is, one, our efforts to build this broader social base somehow got weakened by this effort of just having alliances with this or that party.
Madam,
That is the thrust.
Madam,
Yes, please go ahead.
Madam Chair. I asked my question.
The PTL was adopted unanimously, or they say voting, did someone vote against it? And on the issue of communalism, do you have any kind of understanding with the Congress?
On your first question, I think it says adopted. I think there was one vote against it. One vote, I think. One person, I think, voted against. Otherwise, we would have said unanimous on that. I don't even know it was this huge ball. So anyway, we don't give names out like that. Maybe it was one person who voted against it. So in that, but it was adopted. And the second point is, we are very clear that the fight against communalism, the fight to counter the use of state power by the RSS has to go far beyond going with this or that party. So our thrust is not to go with this or that party. Again, I want to reiterate,